The air tears apart. Dirt and pulverized rock erupt inches from a soldier's steel helmet. He flattens himself into the wet French earth, his knuckles white on the stock of his rifle. Another burst rips through the autumn leaves above, a sound like a giant tearing canvas. The air fills with the sharp, metallic smell of cordite and fear. Across the field, nestled in a tangle of fallen logs and earth, a German machine gun spits relentless fire. His platoon is caught, pinned down in the open by a perfectly placed weapon. Men hug the ground, their faces pressed into mud, the rhythmic thud of the enemy gun a death sentence echoing in their ears. Every blade of grass, every rock, offers the only salvation in a world reduced to a few hundred yards of deadly ground. This is the grim reality of Europe in the fall of 1944. The date is September 28th. The location is a forgotten stretch of countryside near the city of Nancy, France. Here, the Allied push grinds against the desperate, bitter resistance of a cornered enemy. Among the men pinned down is a soldier of the 2nd Infantry Division. His sleeve bears the insignia of a technician 4th grade, a specialist. But on the front lines, titles dissolve in the face of machine gun fire. His name is Truman Kimbro. He watches as a medic scrambles low, dragging a wounded man back from a kill zone. The advance has stalled. The entire platoon, the entire company's objective, is held hostage by that single, chattering gun. Orders are screamed but swallowed by the chaos. Plans are made and then shredded by the next burst of bullets. The German position is too well fortified, its field of fire too perfect. A frontal assault is suicide. But to stay here is to die slowly. A cold resolve settles over Truman Kimbro's face. He glances at the desperate eyes of the men around him, their bodies coiled in a futile attempt to be smaller, to disappear into the earth. He looks toward the enemy nest, a dark maw of smoke and flashing light. A decision is made, not in a shout, but in a quiet, deliberate movement. The stakes are clear. Someone has to break the stalemate, or no one is walking away. Slowly, deliberately, Kimbro begins to move. He doesn't stand. He crawls. His elbows and knees dig into the cold, damp soil, pushing him forward one agonizing inch at a time. The sound of his own breathing is a roar in his ears, each snap of a twig under his weight a cannon shot. He keeps his profile impossibly low, a shadow moving through the tall, wet grass. Bullets continue to slice the air high above him, a deadly canopy he must crawl beneath. His world shrinks to the ground directly in front of his face. He sees an earthworm writhing in the mud. He sees a discarded ration tin, rusted and half-buried. He sees the splintered trunk of a tree, scarred by previous battles. Every foot of progress is a victory, a testament to sheer will against the overwhelming instinct to stay hidden. He is alone, a single soldier moving toward the heart of the danger, a volunteer for an impossible task. He pauses behind a low rise, the earth offering a brief moment of respite. His lungs burn. Mud is caked on his uniform, his face, his weapon. He carefully, quietly unslings his rifle. His fingers, though trembling slightly, move with practiced efficiency. He checks the action, making sure no mud has fouled the mechanism. He reaches for his belt. His hand closes around the cold, grooved steel of a fragmentation grenade. The weight is familiar, heavy, a promise of contained violence. Another burst from a machine gun kicks dirt over his position, reminding him that time is not on his side. He takes a deep, steadying breath, the air tasting of wet leaves and gunpowder. He peeks over his meager cover. The German emplacement is closer now, a chaotic mound of earth, logs, and sandbags. He can see the flicker of the muzzle flash, the dark shapes of the soldiers serving the weapon. He estimates the distance, his mind a cold calculator in the heat of the moment. His muscles tense. He rises from his crawl into a low crouch, a fleeting target against the gray sky. For a heartbeat, he is exposed, vulnerable. His arm whips back, then snaps forward. A dark, pineapple-shaped object tumbles through the air, an elegant, deadly arc against the clouds. He drops back to the ground before it lands, his face pressed into the dirt, his body braced for the impact. The explosion is a deep, guttural crump, a stark contrast to the sharp crack of the rifle fire. Earth and black smoke erupt from the German position. The chattering machine gun falls silent. For a moment, there is a stunning, deafening quiet. Shouts of confusion and pain drift from the smoke-shrouded nest. Kimbro doesn't wait. He knows the silence is a gift, a temporary window of opportunity he must exploit. He is on his feet, sprinting, his boots churning through the mud. He holds his rifle at the ready, his eyes locked on the target. The field is a blur of motion. He is a singular force of action in a tableau of frozen fear. He closes the distance, his heart hammering against his ribs. Smoke billows from the position, obscuring his view. He reaches the edge of the emplacement and dives in, landing hard on the churned-up soil. Inside the nest, it is chaos. The first grenade has done its work. The air is thick with acrid smoke and the smell of blood. Dazed and wounded enemy soldiers are struggling to their feet, trying to make sense of the sudden attack. They see the lone American soldier in their midst, and for a split second, there is a shared look of disbelief. Kimbro does not hesitate. His rifle comes up, the sights finding their target. A flash, a deafening crack, a brass casing ejecting into the smoky air. He works the bolt, his movements economical and precise. Another shot. He is a whirlwind of controlled violence, a technician applying his trade with lethal efficiency. He moves through the confined space, his rifle a brutal extension of his will. The fight is close, personal, and horrifyingly swift. The German soldiers, caught completely by surprise, have no time to mount an effective defense. It is over in seconds. Silence returns to the machine gun nest, but this time it is a final, absolute silence. Truman Kimbro stands amidst the wreckage, his chest heaving, his rifle still held at the ready. The smoke begins to clear, revealing the terrible cost of his assault. 15 enemy soldiers lay dead or dying in the cramped position. The once feared machine gun is a twisted wreck of metal, its barrel pointing uselessly at the sky. He takes a moment, a single, deep breath to steady his shaking hands. He looks back across the field. He sees the helmets of his platoon mates rising cautiously from the ground. A single figure stands up, then another, then the entire line. They stare in disbelief at the silenced gun that had held them in its grip. A wave of a hand, a shouted command, and the advance begins again. The soldiers of the 2nd Infantry Division move forward, their boots finding purchase on the ground that had moments before been a killing field. They pass the destroyed nest, their faces a mixture of awe, grim respect, and profound relief. They see the lone technician 4th grade, Kimbro, standing there, a solitary figure who had single-handedly broken the enemy's hold. His actions have not just saved them, they have punched a hole in the German line, enabling the entire platoon to seize its objective. The camera pulls back, rising high above the battlefield near Nancy. The advance continues, a line of determined men moving across the French countryside. The story of this day will become one of countless such stories from the Second World War. But for the men of this platoon, on this specific day, is the only story that matters. It is a story of how the tide of a battle can be turned not by a general's map or a squadron of tanks, but by the extraordinary courage of one soldier, armed with a rifle, a few grenades, and an unwavering resolve to see his comrades through the fire. The advance continues, one bloody field at a time, on the long road into the heart of Europe. Tell me your favorite war story I should talk about next. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video.